This is PATV and audio. I'm Will, and we're here with Everett from Engage from Change. So, Everett, what got you to start Engage for Change?
Well, the Engage for Change was based on so many phone calls that I've received over the last 2 years since being voted off the island, so to speak. Businesses, residents, organizations saying is we're sick and tired of city council and administration not listening to us. We send in correspondence, we never hear things back. We go speak to council and we get treated like school children. Council needs to realize that there are a lot of businesses and organizations and residents in the city who have a lot of experience, and the decisions that they make don't just impact us for this year or 5 years or 20 years from now. It's 35 years. So kids who aren't even born yet are going to be carrying debt burdens that's going to be placed on by some of the decisions being made by this council and administration.
So, Engage for Change has three petitions out there right now.
So yes, we've got three petitions right now. The first one is a petition for a referendum which will be presented to the City of Prince Albert for a forensic financial audit. The second one is a petition to the province for a forensic financial audit of not just the city but also the Prince Albert Police Service, so that we as taxpayers, businesses, residents and organizations understand where our tax money is going. Is it being appropriated correctly? Is money being moved from one source to another in a short-term period? Is every decision being made by council and administration in the best interests of the taxpayer? Because there is a civil liability for members of council for putting the city of Prince Albert and its ratepayers and taxpayers at risk. And we hope that a full forensic financial audit of both the city and Prince Albert Police Service will give us the confidence that the decisions that are being made are being done according to legislation, which would be the Cities Act, the Municipality Act, the Finance Act, and whatever statutes are available to organizations and municipalities within the province. The third petition is a petition to rescind Motion 0215, which asks the city and the province to increase the city's debt limit from 75 million to 120 million. A project that's gotten out of hand. So when we talk about an extra 30 million or 54 million dollars, as is the case currently, to finish this project, excluding all the additional costs for the architect fees and the land purchase, we're at 150 million dollars and counting, notwithstanding the interest rates. So the interest rates that were applicable a year ago are no more. As of last week, it was 5.2%, I believe, and by the time should this finance be approved, we'll be at 7%, possibly even beyond. That is unaffordable because that adds even more money to this project over the next 35 years.
That means our grandchildren are going to be inheriting the debt of our decisions right now.
Well, there was no consultation with the public when this was started, and this is not the only instance of projects. We've seen the cold or the water intake on the river, which is just, I think, just recently been opened. That project went from less than $5 million to $20 million, give or take. That came back to council time and time again, and no explanations given. Nobody's fired for that project getting out of control. It's just keep burdening and keep adding on because they just went and borrowed more money to pay for that. So, we have a lot of well-paid people at City Hall who do these feasibility studies or project management or project scopes with some of the finest companies in North America, and they have these considerable scope creeps on the project. Surely, a 5 or 10% contingency is acceptable, but 150, 200% contingency, that's just poor planning. And I'm amazed that to this day, no heads at City Council or at City Hall has rolled because of those decisions. And it happens time and time again when we see a road dug up, new services put in, everything closed up, everything paved, and then 2 weeks later it's being dug up again because the connection was missed. You know, planning is 90% of a well executed project, and I'm very hesitant and very nervous about the scope creep on this project up on the hill. You know, yes, we need an aquatic center. We have more than enough ice sheets. We could probably have put a couple of $1 million into the art houser to fix the screens or the glass, which was the only remaining requirement for the WHL. The WHL never demanded a new arena. That is something which still has to come down the pipeline, because what's being built up there, or currently being dug up and concrete poured, is for two junior arenas, not even the 4,500 seater project, which was denied by the feds and the province. So we have a lot of money that's going to be demanded from us as taxpayers and from our children and from our grandchildren.
What is your perspective on the homeless and crime in Prince Albert?
So, you know, it is such a complicated matter when we talk about. I want to push crime aside because that's an animal in its own, but homelessness, addictions, and mental health, we we can't just keep sticking band-aid solutions on that. I applaud the YWCA and the incredible work that they do, and you know the time is now for not a seasonal homeless shelter, but for a permanent space. But you know we got to, and I mean I'm going to quote Bill Maher on this, is we've got to be like a restaurant with homeless people, as we say. You can stay here for a while, finish your meal, finish your coffee, but you can't live here permanently. You know, we can't just continue to provide short-term housing or long-term housing in a homeless shelter without a solution. And the Homeward Bound program of the YWCA is an integral part of that. But you know, when we talk about harm reduction, and it's something which has been very dear to me, is harm reduction without an exit to a better life or to rehabilitation, not a 2 day or a 1 week detox. You know, to be properly rehabilitated is a 3 month plus journey, depends on the person's addiction severity. You know, we talk about methadone and Suboxone programs as well, and it's very easy to talk about the homeless people on the program, but there's a huge amount of people in the city who have been prescribed opioids. I mean, over the years, Oxycontin, Dilaudid, and other opioids have become addicted to that, and many of them are on those very same programs to wean them off that and can't live without it. So when we talk about the gamut of homelessness, and I don't know how many times I've made calls into the police, and you know, whether it's somebody passed out on the curb or an informal settlement in the back lane here, and you know, fortunately there is a space now, but it's not a permanent solution. The permanent solution is going to take a lot of our community-based organizations to get together, and let's see how to do this. I was hopeful that the mustard seed would have been part of that solution, but again, is where do we put a program such as that in the city? Because it gets a lot of businesses upset. You know, you look at downtown right now, every third property is boarded up. You know, businesses have moved out, businesses have closed. And you know, I respect the position on PadBid that they've taken on this, because we need to become a better city, and a better city is to have a permanent solution in place. We can learn from Medicine Hat. You know, Medicine Hat has dealt with homelessness, and it's almost non-existent there, and there's other cities as well. But it takes a council and a community, our organizations, our businesses, and our residents to work together to find a solution to work with homelessness, addictions, and mental health. And it's spread across ministries. It's not a provincial issue, it's not a federal issue, it is a community issue. And we hope that our voice, not just with the city, but also with the province and with the federal government and our neighboring communities, we could get everyone around the table to address this and find a solution.
In regards to the petitions, Is there a link or web page for people to go to?
So you can email engage, so engage at pabrag, brag.ca, for copies of the petition. We will have a permanent location for people to sign and collect and drop off petition forms announced towards the middle of next week. We're just waiting for a final amount on the rental. Of course, looking above and beyond the petitions, PA Bragg as a group, we're not going to go away. We're going to continue to build strength for businesses, organizations, and residents. You know, when we talk about taxation and the impacts, there's been a lot of taxation appeals by a lot of large property owners in the city. Majority of them have won their appeals. There's more of those in the pipeline. And as Jesse Hansch said at our forum, is we are the highest commercial tax jurisdiction in Canada, if not one of the highest. We are the highest. And we're seeing, that disregard for businesses. You can't just say, well, they're a business, they can afford. You got to understand that it's not just the business taxes that the property owner carries, it's also their residents. Maybe somebody has two. When we look at rental properties, where I've spoken to a lot of rental property owners, if you add a 35 or an 85 or a $300 base tax onto a property, it takes 6 months to a year before that property owner can collect that increase from the tenants, because you've got to give notice, and very often that increase can only be on the renewal of a contract. And if a client is not happy with paying an extra $300 in rent on an annual basis, not only do you lose that tenant, but you need to go and find another tenant. So, the decisions that they make at City Hall, we saw the same with the overstated water bills recently. Think ahead and think about the impact. Give businesses more opportunity for consultation. Give community organizations more support. Instead of only investing $120,000 between seniors transportation and the heritage center just around the corner. That's what the city puts into 6,000 members of the population. We need to do more. We can do more, and that's going to involve making some really, really tough decisions and changing the way that everybody's been forced to think at City Hall for God knows too long.
Thank you, Everett, for this interview, and hopefully we can do more in the future.
Sure. Thank you. And